We are once again in the dyno room. Today we will talk about the SIP Road 3.0 for 125cc large frame engines. The SIP Road is nothing never seen before, but I would still like to introduce you to the product range, and I also want to test what this exhaust can do on perhaps the most widespread and simplest tuning setup which I can think of. The scooter we have here isn't quite a beauty, but it has exactly what we need: a very simple engine. In fact, the engine is totally original. The only thing that got changed was the cylinder. Instead of the original cylinder, a 177cc Polini cylinder is installed that's at least 15 years old. Currently, there's an SIP Road 2.0 installed on the scooter. That's a tuning that a skilled mechanic can do in half an hour. Let's have a look at how the engine performs with the SIP Road 2.0. It probably won't be a rocket, but I hope for a nice everyday setup. Now, what can we see? First of all, something terribly unspectacular. 14 horsepower at 6,100 RPM. That doesn't sound like much, but if you consider that an original PX200 has about 9 horsepower at the rear wheel, and we have 14 horsepower here, then that's 5 horsepower more, and everything has a very homogeneous curve. It drives quite nicely and is great for everyday riding and the environment. Believe me, something like this drives better than you think, and it's quite a simple setup. That's why I also like the SIP Road 2.0, because it's kind of a no-brainer. You can put it on any setup, it always works. A little bit of jetting and ignition adjustment and it will take you straight to the North Pole. But we wanted to talk about the SIP Road 3.0. So let's take the scooter off the platform, mount an SIP Road 3.0, and then let's test how that setup performs. Before we go to the hoist and mount the SIP Road 3.0, I wanted to show you which different models of the SIP Road 3.0 are available. The standard version looks very similar to the original exhaust from Vespa, only the manifold differs a little. It is longer and diverges. That's the reason why the engine has a little more power with such an exhaust. We have 4 versions that are visually based on the historical Abarth exhaust. Abarth was a company that made sport exhausts for Vespa scooters back in the 50s. They are easily recognized by the 2 longer chrome tubes at the end. Why do we have 4 models of them? We have them twice in red and twice in black, once with a single bracket and once with a double bracket. The single bracket models are for mounting on older models like the old Sprint and older. For those models, only a single screw gets screwed into the crossbar. The double bracket variants are for the PX engines, as you know them. Lastly, we also have a chrome version. But attention, the chrome makes the exhaust not only visually more conspicuous, but also acoustically. Well, enough talking. Let's take the scooter on the hoist. The first thing to do is to dismantle the old exhaust. Then you can mount the new one. Now you've seen very nicely how fast the exhaust can be changed. The new exhaust is already mounted. I have drained some air to be able to mount the traverse screw. Now I will fill up the air again and then we will go back to the dyno bench. Of course, I made a note on how much air was in there on the first run. It was a 2 bar, so I'll put them back in now. Let's take a look at what happened. I've loaded the two curves against each other from the SIP Road 2.0 and the SIP Road 3.0. It is now 15 horsepower instead of 14. That might not sound like much, but 1 horsepower in this case means almost 10% more power output, which I've reached simply by changing the box exhaust system. And as I said, this setup is really simple, so you can't get much more performance out of it. But I think the results are pretty good. I also have 1 Newton meter more, 19.2 Newton meters and 15 horsepower. You can see that at 4,800 RPM, the SIP Road 3.0 is completely outperforming the power of the SIP Road 2.0. The torque only drops off further back, which is relatively pleasant when driving. Looking at the graphs of the Road 2.0, the torque drops from about 4,700 to 4,800 RPM. That's not so bad, because the power stays the same. But the riding feels a little bit better if the torque is distributed more evenly. And with the SIP Road 3.0, it only drops down after 5,400 RPM. Conclusion? A simple change to a simple setup, but you will definitely notice something. And it is also quite a cheap setup, which anyone can install very quickly. In our case, I didn't even adjust carburetor and ignition. With this, you get a nice setup for daily riding as well as for tours. All this for very little money. So that's my recommendation for some fast but effective tuning. If you like this video, please press the like button. And if you want to see more content, please subscribe to our channel. I see you next time. Goodbye.